The legends show him as an adult and most prenatural person at birth, virtually a superman who reverses all hierarchies and is superior to all the humans and devas. For instance, the Lalitavestar relates that the images of the deities fell down before him when his father took him on visit to the family's temple. Both his father and teacher also accept him as their superior, and he vanquishes all those figures that do not acknowledge his cosmic stature. Consequently, the Buddha's life events, that is his birth, quest, enlightenment and death, came to be seen not as transformative personal existential process for him, but as a manifestation of his compassionate attempts to teach others and to be a model for them. This basically means that the Buddha is enlightened right at the time when he is born. However, when he sees those four scenes and leaves home, he appears to be totally ignorant. The texts explain that this was done basically to teach a lesson. The Buddha was enlightened all right, but he was pretending to be ignorant to teach a lesson when he left his home. So the Bodhicharit states that the Bodhisattva was born not ignorant but fully conscious. Similarly, according to the Lalitavestar, he came forth from the womb with full memory, knowing everything. Andre Barrow has explained this apparent paradox, contradiction, as having arisen as a consequence of efforts to conflate together multiple narratives into one composite narrative. However, Silk believes that this ostensible contradiction may best be understood if the Buddha's biography is viewed as incorporating two models. One model comprising an almost infinitely long career of spiritual growth which came to full fruition in the final lifetime. The second module comprising encounter with unpleasant facts of reality of life in the world, the discovery of the way to cope with these facts, and the efforts at asceticism and mental cultivation, finally leading to liberation. His father appears to have made proper arrangements for his upbringing and education. It has been mentioned in the Pali texts that the Bodhisattva lived a life of great luxury and excessive ease, surrounded by all imaginable comforts, owning 3 palaces for 3 different seasons. In fact, all the sources are in agreement in underlining the luxuries that were available to the Bodhisattva, which in turn, as suggested by John Strong, clearly serve the purpose of emphasizing how great was the turning away that impelled him ultimately to give it all up. The legends also inform us that the would-be Buddha had inclination towards spiritual life since childhood. An important incident reported in various accounts of the Bodhisattva's childhood is that of his accomplishment of the first jhana under a jambu tree. Once on the occasion of the state ploughing festival, when King Shuddhodhan himself was ploughing with other farmers, the Bodhisattva's nurses, drawn by the celebrations, left the child unattended under a jambu tree. Later, when the nurses and the others returned, they found him seated cross-legged in a trance. It was this very experience that later turned out to be a turning point when the Bodhisattva found severe austerities unhelpful. There is a good reason to believe that he wanted to take sannyas as a young person. His inclination towards otherworldliness is also indicated by the fact that when he was 16 years old, Shuddhodhan sent messengers to the Shakyans asking that his son be allowed to seek a bride from among their daughters, but the Shakyans were reluctant as he knew no art and was unfit to sport a wife. He left home on his religious quest, which is said to have been motivated by existential concern for the human condition. Besides, the Buddha himself confesses in some of the early texts that he lived a very spoilt life in the home of his parents. While the earliest sources merely depict Gautam seeking a higher spiritual goal and becoming an ascetic after being disillusioned with lay life, the later legendary biographies tell a more elaborate, dramatic story about how he became a mendicant. The earliest accounts of the Buddha's spiritual quest found in sutras such as the Arya Pariyesana Sutta report that the reason behind his renunciation was the thought that his life was subject to old age, disease and death, and that there might be something better. The early texts also explain that the Buddha took sannyas because it is not easy for a householder to lead the perfected, utterly pure and perfectly holy life. The would-be Buddha appears to have been persuaded by his father to postpone the idea of leaving home till he produced a male heir. Consequently, he was married to Bhaddakachana at the age of 16. In the Pali tradition, the Buddha's wife is variously known as Rahul Mata, Yashodhara, Bhaddakachana, Bhaddakacha, Bimba Sundari or Bimba Devi. Other sources point out that the Bodhisattva acquired 3 wives, one after the other, in somewhat different situations. Yashodhara, Gopika and Mrigaja. These 3 wives are mentioned in some of the traditions. Tradition also says that the Buddha won his wife in a martial arts competition. According to the Nidan Katha, one of the feats that he performed with a bow needed the strength of 1,000 men. The Shakyans were so impressed by this that each of the 40,000 of them offered a daughter in marriage to the young prince. The Bodhisattva married all the 40,000 girls and appointed as his chief wife the daughter of Supabuddha, who later became known by the generic name Rahul Mata. The legendary biographies like the Lalit Vistar also tell stories of young Gautam's great martial skills, which were put to the test in various contests against other Shakyan youths. He realizes that the harem is a trap where he found himself like a fish caught in a net. When he was 29 years old, he once ventured out of the palace and saw an old man, a sick man, a dead body and a mendicant. And when he returned to the palace, he got the news that he has been blessed with a son. Immediately thereafter, he left home and adopted a life of homelessness. So, what I have mentioned in this lecture is that how our heroes' qualities have been multiplied and expanded in a very interesting manner because he is our hero. If whatever information is available, historical information about the Buddha, is that he was possibly the son of a humble farmer who somehow was perhaps the kind of pradhan or a sarpanch of a small community of Shakyas, and he possibly wanted to leave home as a young person, but perhaps his father persuaded him to give him an heir. So he possibly very reluctantly got married, and when he was blessed with a son, he left home and became a sannyasi, and then of course attained enlightenment. Thank you so much.